Excellency, thank you very much for joining us here with Bahrain this month. It's a pleasure to talk to you as your first interview in Bahrain. Firstly, can you tell us about your diplomatic career to date, how you sort of entered the diplomatic field and your journey so far to arriving in Bahrain?
I started with foreign service more than 30 years ago. My first appointment was in New York to the United Nations, and then in Venezuela, Uruguay, Italy, but specifically with the embassy to the Holy See, and then Madrid. The most important part of my career, and I feel blessed with that accomplishment, was being appointed to the Kingdom of Bahrain.
You've worked in so many places around the world, even the Vatican. Why does Bahrain mean so much to you?
Bahrain is special, first because we are celebrating the 50-year anniversary of our bilateral relations. I'd say that it's a new embassy. It's the youngest among 133 embassies, Brazilian embassies around the world. I'm fully aware of the responsibility that is involved in being the first ambassador of Brazil here, and I will make our country well known for Bahrainis beyond soccer and coffee and samba.
Yeah. Okay. So you've been here 6 months so far, roughly. Can you tell us what your first impressions of Bahrain are now that you've had time to settle into the country?
Well, I've been studying the history of Bahrain, and even today, earlier today, I was reading about pearl scuba diving. And I think that as an ambassador, we are kind of searching for the pearl. The pearl are the values and the history and the friendship of Bahrain. So we are going to dive and search for this precious treasure that is the friendship and the strengthening of relations with this country.
That's a lovely way to put it, actually. And talking about relations, how do you feel the current state of relations are between Bahrain and Brazil, and what are your key goals while you're here to sort of strengthen them?
Things were happening before the opening of the embassy. Governmental representatives feel an incentive when there is an embassy to coordinate their agendas here. We're expecting many delegations to come even before Ramadan, about 4 or 5 in various fields. And so I feel that the presence of the embassy here will be a landmark in bilateral relations.
Probably the main sort of thing on your plate at the moment is establishing the embassy. As you said, it's the first time we've had a full embassy in Bahrain. Can you sort of tell us a bit about the process, first on the Brazilian side, what it's been like to get that embassy established in Bahrain, and also you, now that you're actually here, how you have sort of facilitated sort of opening it, getting it ready for the full consular service that will be available soon?
For the past 2 years, the embassy was present, but it was a very limited presence because it had only one diplomat. We have a larger staff and we are hiring new employees. We rented a new space for the embassy, a larger office, and it will allow us to open a consular section for about 300 Brazilians that live here, and also Bahraini businessmen and tourists who want to visit Brazil.
In areas such as trade and business, that's obviously a very important agenda for you. What do you feel are the sort of challenges that you face in order to, sort of improve the trade between the two?
We are among the top partners, trade partners of Bahrain, but the challenge now is to diversify. The halal industry is already very well developed in Brazil. We have about 13 million Brazilians of Arab origin, so it's not a mystery for us, the requirements and the needs of the Bahraini consumers. So we now intend to bring more products and thus have a more rich presence in this country.
What plans does yourself or the Brazilian embassy as an establishment have to sort of have cultural exchanges between the two countries?
I noticed that Bahrainis are very into sports, and especially martial arts and soccer. And we are planning to bring athletes and businessmen to intensify that collaboration with the Bahraini sports entrepreneurs.
That would be amazing. So what do you think the chances of getting a Bahrain versus Brazil friendly at the National Stadium?
I think chances are good. I'm already coordinating with some very focused businessmen in Brazil in the field of sports, and they are very enthusiastic about bringing, including some celebrities to Bahrain, former and current. Maybe we'll bring a famous former athlete, soccer player. I won't tell for now. I want everyone to be curious, but you'll be able to read it in Bahrain this month, who he will be.
It's the first place we've heard that, so hopefully we can keep fingers crossed for that. Speaking of football yourself, are you a big football fan? Who was your, Brazil has so many idols through the years, who's your one hero?
I will be very obvious in this regarding this question. I like Pelé. Unfortunately, he belongs to a time when not everything was recorded or photographed, but I think he was a complete athlete. He really was a Brazilian patriot.
When you look back in 4 to 5 years, what would you like to have achieved by that point and be proud of what you've done here?
Well, there are many agreements, as I mentioned before, that are only on paper, and we have to bring them to life. Especially, we want to design with the Bahraini government a 5-year action plan that will be the roadmap for the future of our relations.
Bahrain is becoming known as sort of a hub for green energy in the region and climate change. Obviously, that's an issue very close to Brazil's heart with the Amazon and deforestation and things like that. Can you sort of give perhaps a bit of a summary of what Brazil and Bahrain are doing to push for a greener future?
Certainly, especially Brazil has a very clean matrix, energy matrix. 92% of Brazilian energy is either hydroelectric or solar or wind energy, and we want to go hand in hand with Bahrain toward this goal of keeping temperature in the planet up to 1.5 degrees, the temperature increase.
What words do you have for the Brazilian community in Bahrain, especially those who suddenly haven't had maybe the sort of support of a full embassy previously, but now have you and your sort of diplomatic mission available? What words do you have for the Brazilian community in Bahrain?
My message to Brazilians in Bahrain is that I am committed to opening this consular section as soon as possible. It involves real estate, hiring people, training, equipment, and also some legal administrative decisions, but by mid-year, we'll have a fully functional consular section to welcome them in the embassy.